We're gonna go through this whole thing, one take, no bullshit, and we're gonna do it in a flannel because the only way to get views on YouTube while talking about music is to wear a flannel. My shit is inside out! So, just like that, 10 years have come and gone. For what it's worth, I think they were pretty good. There's a lot negative that you could say about the 2010s, but I'd rather look back on it as a time of growth and of learning than anything else. Music has never been more accessible, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to share anything that you can find with anyone that you can find. Does that make sense? Maybe. Who cares? Because the point is, I'm here to count down my 100 favorite songs from this decade. Look, I am by no means an expert on music. I don't think that I know enough theory to actually write a song. I just put things together in Fruity Loops and occasionally it makes a cool beat. The easiest explanation I can give as to why I put something on the list is not that it's like culturally significant or that it's some sort of theoretical genius. It's just how emotional it gets me, really. Because that's what a good song is to me. It shakes you emotionally, whether it makes you happy, whether it makes you sad, whether it sets you on fire with rage. If a song makes you feel something, that, I believe, is its strongest merit. So, without further ado, wait, the rules are only 2 songs per artist, max. Everything else is fair game. Okay, now let's go. Number 100, Hail the Sun, Human Target Practice. I will always appreciate an overly edgy post-hardcore song, regardless of where it's coming from, because are these guys at the drive-in ripoff? Maybe just a little bit. Do I care? No, I really like the song. Gets me going. Number 99, Igor, Yud. What can only be categorized as breakcore, Igor just fissures the lines of what can be considered an electronic track, with avant-garde metal and opera being fused seamlessly. Number 98, Esprit Wave. Vaporwave was important this decade. No, it wasn't. But I liked it, and that's what matters. Because this track to me was some of the best Vaporwave work. George just understood how to make Vaporwave better than anyone, because instead of just looping samples, he was fusing things together like guitars, and he was composing original tracks. It had so much more meaning to it than just someone cobbling together 10 samples at 0.5 times the speed. Number 97, Tame Impala, Eventually. I understand that Currents is a very important album to a lot of people, and I can't demerit the production. It is very, very good, but I just don't see it as this album of the decade, incredible, mind-blowing, neo-psychedelic odyssey that most people portray it as. Now, if I had to pick my real favorite song, it would probably be Nangs, but it felt like Kevin gave up on fleshing it out and then just faded the song out instead of actually finishing it. So Eventually is the runner-up. Number 96, Mick Gordon, BFG Division. Look, music is music, regardless of where it comes from. It is consciously organized pieces of sound. That's what music is. So when I say that I think that a video game soundtrack piece is one of the nastiest pieces of industrial metal I've heard this decade, you best believe that I'm not just biased and thinking about this in context of the game. No, if you don't have this on your gym playlist, and you better in the next 20 minutes, I'm coming for you. Number 95, Childish Gambino, Redbone. Strides ahead of his prior work, ahead of his contemporaries as well. Gambino's biggest left hook in his catalog is also one of the best R&B tracks I've heard in the past 10 years. Number 94, The Weeknd, The Hills. Abel's voice is one that grew stale for me a little bit later in the decade. I feel like he still has a lot of experimentation to do if he wants to remain interesting, especially with his latest EP. That being said, this song is great. The production is simple but effective, and the whole vibe of the track makes you want to blow things up in slow motion. Number 93, I gotta get the pronunciation on this right or it's gonna kill me. Rafael Anton Irisari, Empire Systems. This is a slow burning drone that I'm certain that many people that are viewing this right now won't enjoy, and that's not a diss to you, that's a diss to myself, because this shit is 8 minutes of horrifying, crackling Polaroid of distant memories and loss. It's very emotionally moving. It's a soundtrack to the death of a memory. Number 92, SZA, Supermodel. Supermodel is painful and powerful, and it I can't justify this one. I just really like it. It's a pretty straightforward R&B song. It builds a little bit. It lets the drums come in really late in the track, and she just spills her blood and tears all over her guitar. It's really sweet. Number 91, Drake and Majid Jordan, Hold On, We're Going Home. There are many criticisms that one could level against Aubrey Graham, both as a person and a musician, but this one's pretty good, man. I can't deny it a place here. I think that, yeah, no, I can't justify this one either. I just like it. Number 90, EV.EXI, Remember. This is where stuff starts getting real. From here onward, everything's real. The title track of Evie's 2017 godsend of a future funk project, Remember serves as a reminder that great dance music is still being made. It's still thriving off this tsunami of new disco that started just last decade. Number 89, One Oh Tricks Point Never, Ezra. OPN is known, and I use that term loosely, as a user and abuser of synth arpeggios. It comes to full fruition on Ezra. This is a widescreen masterwork of what you can accomplish when you combine samples and original electronic composition. Manipulation at its finest. Number 88, Vector, Charging the Void. The vocals tend to cause a lot of people to turn away rapidly, at least my metalhead friends that I've shown, but taking time to get used to them, I unearthed one of the most brutal and intense technical thrash meltdowns I've ever heard. Number 87, Kamasi Washington, Clair de Lune. Kamasi's spiritual jazz take on the Debussy classic is probably my favorite version of it. I think this has overtaken the original for me, honestly. It's gorgeous and it's truly epic. Number 86, Deadmau5 featuring Chris James, The Veldt. While most people would label Strobe as Joel's best work, I really think he exemplified what he does best on The Veldt with his signature brand of mouse house and his plucky synths and his strong composition. It just all comes together, and the lyrical themes are second to none. Sliding on into number 85, we got LCD Soundsystem with Dance Yourself Clean. Who knew it was possible to have this much fun with like 5 notes, huh? This track is just a rainbow arc of indestructible dance music. Number 84, Mr. Fiji Ouija, Laura Brem, and Silver Nitrate. Pure Sunlight. Mystery, atmosphere, and a fat friggin' bass all make this track both a blast of white hot fire and a blast of chilling air as well. Number 83, Mutual Benefit with Advanced Falconry. An adorable folk song that's on its own pink cloud of these ethereal strings and joyful banjos. I didn't care much for a lot of the other things in Mutual Benefit's discography, but this track kept me coming back time and time again. Number 82, Jeremy Soule, Skyrim Atmospheres. I understand that to many people this pick won't make much sense, especially seeing as I'm putting this above about 20 other tracks. But understand me when I say that taking a walk with the snow falling and this playing, just come back after you've tried that and tell me that this isn't a spiritual experience of a track, regardless of where it comes from. Number 81, Burial, Come Down to Us. Massive plunderphonics from the inventor of Future Garage himself. Come Down to Us is a resonant tale of identity and finding oneself. Number 80, the ILYs, Wash My Hands, Shorty. The portamento bass is greased, moody, and groovy. It's everything I could have asked for in this lo-fi, stupidly enjoyable sputtering rock track. Number 79, Travis Scott featuring Casey Hill, 90210. I wish he would go back to this dark and evil style. He was so good at it. He really was. And not to say that there isn't traces of it now, but Astroworld was almost completely void of stuff like this. I miss the sinister Travis. Number 78, M83, Midnight City. Just because it's a meme does not Maine, it's bad. The sax solo at the end of this track pretty much solidified it as a modern synth pop classic for me. The production is balls to the wall, amazing on this. Number 77, The Knife, Full of Fire. You know, sometimes my friends get on me for being straight edge, and they're like, nah, dude, just try it. And I'm like, I think I can pretty much describe to you what a bad trip feels like after hearing this song. I'm fairly confident in that. Number 76, Jeff Rosenstock, We Begged to Explode. Hey, like I said, teenage years, this decade. So every lyric on this track is pretty damn relatable now that I'm in university. I also just really love how he transitions from this simple indie rock to this explosive pop punk. I'm gonna overuse the word explosive a lot on this list. Number 75, Arcade Fire, Ready to Start. It's better than The Suburbs, don't at me. Number 74, Denzel Curry, Gook. Denzel means something completely different when he uses the word gook. He does not mean the racial slur. To him it means someone who is weird and different, kind of a nerd. And that definitely is evident in his trap music. He had a much more bombastic and explosive approach. See, I did it again already. I don't know, I like the way he blends subtle electronic elements into his trap music. Number 73, Sleigh Bells, Straight A's. Not only is Straight A's by Sleigh Bells a banger, but it is easily one of the loudest songs I have ever heard. This is so disgustingly bombastic that it surpasses being annoying and transcends into this realm of amazing. Number 72, Weather Day, My Sputnik Sweetheart. A 13-minute indie noise odyssey is the longest song that Weather Day brought to life this decade, and it's also their best. It's really amazing given that most of their other tracks are just under 2 minutes. Number 71, AU5, Erratic, and IYFFE, Sweet. While this bears a lot of the flaws that many other Complextro songs do, such as the overly MIDI piano, this is executed so potently that it still impresses me. This is A1 EDM. Number 70, Nicholas Jar, Balance Her in Between Your Eyes. A translucent crystal through which to shine the brightest of lights. This track is really chilling electronic music, and it's rare that electronic music attains this unprecedented beauty that Nicholas Jar does. Number 69, The OCs, Toe Cutter, Thumb Buster. I can't remember where, but I remember someone describing this as funge, as in fun grunge, and I really feel like that's the best way to describe the sound that is present on this track and the rest of this album. Easily the catchiest song that the group put out this decade, they bring the fuzz by the truckload. Number 68, Tonight, Go! The first time I heard this track, it was, it had Death Grip's Tachyon vocals layered on top of it, and that meant that I got to discover Death Grips and Tonight in one go, which is probably the best musical package deal I ever got in terms of exploring. Number 67, The Brave Little Abacus. Pile! No pile. Pile! There's a very good chance that a lot of people aren't going to like this, or they're going to disagree with me, because emo isn't very popular even in circles of people that listen to rock music. That being said, I don't care. This track is great. The vocals are so emotional and raw, and the mix is super raw as well. It just adds to how powerful the message is. Number 66, Aphex Twin, Asiatsana 102. Though not particularly representative of his style, Asiatsana 102 is one of my favorite piano pieces that Richard D. James has put forward ever. Number 65, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Robot Stop. You ever wonder what would happen if you took like rock music from the 60s through to the late 70s and just put it all together in a blender? Well, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are here to answer that question regardless. Number 64, Odd Future, Oldie. This is absolutely essential if you want to be a meme tier SoundCloud rapper this decade. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about this. Jokes aside, this is one of the best posse cuts ever made. Everyone really punches at their weight level. Is that the saying? I don't know. Number 63, Women, Eyesore. I know the album cover depicts like a blizzard happening downtown, but I honestly feel like I'm getting sucked downward into the sands of a beach when I hear this song. I don't usually like jangly rock either, so I'm really impressed with what women managed to pull off here. Sounds really sexist out of context. Number 62, Injury Reserve. Oh shit! Whether you know the song through a meme or through your own musical exploration, I think we can all agree it's pretty fire, right? Yeah? Okay, me too. Number 61, Skrillex. Rock and roll will take you to the mountain. It's good. Don't hurt me. Number 60, Godspeed You Black Emperor. Mladic. Is this anywhere near the level of Lift Your Skinny Fists or F Sharp A Sharp Infinity? No. Is it some of the best post-rock released this decade? You bet your ass it is. Number 59, George Clanton and Nick Hexum. Crash Pad. I'm really glad that George got to work with his idol this decade, but I'm equally glad that the result is one of the nicest psychedelic rock indie fusions that I've ever heard. Number 58, Run the Jewels featuring Zack de la Rocha. Close your eyes and count to fuck. Leave it to Run the Jewels to bring Zack out of a hiatus. This track goes so hard. Again, like BFG Division, if this isn't on your gym playlist, you better get it there. Number 57, Mac DeMarco. My Kind of Woman. Mac is currently in a state of decay, for lack of better words, but that's okay because we already got our influence out of 2 and now we're moving on. Shouts out to Mac for making one of the most influential albums of the decade. I hope you're doing okay, bud. I really do. Don't die. Number 56, Porter Robinson, Sea of Voices. Porter Robinson's mission statement this decade was to create pretty and overwhelming electronic music, and nothing in his catalog surpasses Sea of Voices in doing just that. Number 55, Basket, Grass. The first lo-fi song that I heard that made me go, whoa, this is pretty good. This one's important to me for that reason, because it introduced me to lo-fi, which, if you couldn't tell from the millions of views the compilations get on YouTube, was pretty significant this decade. Number 54, Flume, Hyperreal. I still don't really know who Kaka is. I tried Googling her. My point is, she fits perfectly over anything Flume has made. Her voice is exactly what needs to be over a Flume type beat. So it just so happens that Flume picked one of the best instrumentals he's ever made and put Kaka over it to get this cosmic combination. Number 53, King Cruel, Out Getting Ribs. It took me a while to get over his nasally voice, I will admit, but once I did, I found myself enjoying this serenade far more than I ever anticipated. Number 52, Avondale Bowling Club. Friends. Lush jazz instrumental is the backing to a heart-crushing story of addiction and death. Please check this one out if you like jazz rap. Number 51, Young Lean, Kyoto. The precursor to the modern era of trap music, and it's actually good. Who would have thought? Also from Sweden. Who would have thought? Number 50, Polyphia, OD. Find me a Spicer guitar riff, I dare you. This is probably the only good trap metal fusion that exists, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong if you have that. Number 49, Slowdive, Slow-Mo. Some people hate it, some people love it. I love it. I think it's great. I don't know what more you guys were asking for. I mean, I get that the drums are a little extra electronic. I like electronic, therefore I like this. I don't really see what people's big gripe is with this. It's a bit repetitive. The songs are a little too long, maybe. We got more shoegaze. We got My Bloody Valentine and Slowdive. We got more from both of them this decade than we did in the last decade, so shut up. Number 49, Boombox Cartel and Nightmare, Aftershock. Hey, another EDM track that I feel guilty about, but not really. To me, Aftershock is perfect EDM trap. There's nothing out of place here. Every synth, every bass, every vocal chop is exactly where it needs to be. I would change absolutely nothing about this. Number 47, FKA Twigs, Cellophane. This track is icy, and I don't say that just because she's wearing a lot of jewelry in the music video. I say that because it chills to the bone, right down to the core. This is a really brave track too. I like a lot of FKA Twigs' other music. I just think Cellophane is really the best she's put out. Number 46, Perturbator, Tactical Precision Disarray. God damn, I love this track. I was a huge sucker for the synthwave genre this decade, so to have someone make something this heavy, this brutal, this menacing was awesome. This track gives you little to no room to breathe, just pounding you with constant mortar fire of bass and synths. These fiery arpeggios skittering all over the place. It's beautiful madness. Quote, Kid Cudi. Number 45, Wise Blood, movies. I gotta be honest, didn't like Titanic Rising as much as other people did, but I do think Movies is as good as other people said it was. This track specifically is haunting, massive, and cinematic, appropriately so. It's incredibly uplifting. Number 44, Janelle Monáe, Cold War. I feel very guilty putting Janelle Monáe as low as I am on this list. I really wish I could put this higher. It's just the way ArchAndroid functions as an album, you really do need to listen to all the songs at once. That being said, Cold War is probably my favorite of the bunch if I had to single out just one. Look, this girl just makes some of the best contemporary R&B/art pop that I've heard, period. She's such a beautiful, beautiful performer. Number 43, A Tribe Called Quest, We the People. Back with a vengeance and a Grammy snub, A Tribe Called Quest proved that they are still a force to be reckoned with in both lyrics and instrumentals. Number 42, Juliana Barwick, The Harbinger. Shout out Piero Scruffi for showing me this. I'm a total sucker for ambient choral music, and Juliana Barwick, I feel, truly mastered what she can accomplish with her vocals, so big props to her for this. Number 41, Vince Staples, North North. Angry white moms aside, this track is pretty stellar. There's a lot of experimentation going on in the instrumental, and just a lot of forward-thinking lyricism too. It's so weird and disjointed. This also features some of Vince's catchiest songwriting. Hey. Number 40, Drowse, Bipolar 1. Where Phil Elverum decided to split off and make Mount Eerie, we have Drowse to come in at the end of the decade and fill that gap that was left. Bipolar 1 combines elements of that broken sad boy aesthetic that the Microphones were so well known for, and he brings in these elements of shoegaze and drone to form this beautiful, haunting, discordant harmony. That makes sense, yes. Number 39, Beach House, Used to Be. I know most people prefer Space Song, and if I had to pick from another song that was just out of Teen Dream, I'd probably pick Zebra, but Used to Be is such a good example of what Beach House does with the crashing drums and the choruses and the dreamy vocals and the oceans of reverb. They all come together so well. Just really hits you right there. Number 38, Ichiko Aoba. I can't pronounce that. I very strongly subscribe to the belief that Ichiko Aoba is the modern Nick Drake. Her strength and diversity as a singer-songwriter is immaculate. Everything that she can do with just her guitar and her voice is so beyond me. And it's exemplified best on this track that I can't pronounce the name of. Number 37, Mount Eerie, Real Death. I don't think I'll ever forget the first time that I listened to this track. I remember I laughed out loud at the opening line of "Death is real." I didn't understand what I was laughing at, because come the end of the song, I felt horrible that I laughed at it, and I'm sure that many people that listen to this song have a similar experience. This track is a gut-wrenching farewell to a wife gone too soon. The story of receiving a package that she ordered before her death and Phil's confusion in her sudden disappearance. Number 36, Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, Shitsville. Pinata is such a dense album that it bears the same problem that Janelle Monáe's work does, where I can't really separate one song out of it, but again, if I had to pick one, Shitsville is the one. Any track from Pinata could have landed itself here, but where Shitsville sets itself apart is in its reason, its humanity. It brings Gibbs' comic book character of a gangster that he builds on Pinata, and he brings him down to a place of reason. Aggressively at that, but a place of reason nonetheless. Number 35, Queens of the Stone Age, Keep Your Eyes Peeled. The snarling bass line of this track is one of the nastiest tones I've heard on any guitar this decade. Is such a strong example of what Queens of the Stone Age are good at, and I almost think it's better than anything off of Songs for the Deaf, and I know that's a very hot take, but I really do believe it. Number 34, Swans, Oxygen. Swans built a Frankenstein's monster of a track with Oxygen in that it uses a myriad of different musical elements and it's fucking ugly. Pyroclastic bass combined with these huge guitar riffs and towers of wailing horns. It makes it feel like the track is trying to strangle me with fire. This track is freaking awesome. Number 33, Sufjan Stevens, Mystery of Love. Changing it up a little from the aggression of the last few tracks, Mystery of Love is perhaps a Carrie and Lowell B-side, but undoubtedly pretty in its innocent take on the beauty of love. It is also one of, if not the best commissioned track I've ever heard. Number 32, Grouper, Moon is Sharp. Stunning is the only word that I can really use to describe this amazing drone piece. The dim fuzz of Moon is Sharp drifts with wave-like vocal pulses, comfy E-pianos, and I think there's a couple guitars in there, but it brings me very close to the mental equivalent of residing in heaven. Number 31, Gorillaz, On Melancholy Hill. Gorillaz fell off pretty damn hard in the second half of the decade, but at least we still have Plastic Beach, their best album, by the way. On Melancholy Hill is a sad and dreary note on the pitfalls of consumerism, but it's tucked into this euphoric synth pop envelope. Number 30, Daft Punk featuring Paul Williams, Touch. I fell in love with this song immediately when I first heard it. The 2-minute intro might be a turnoff for some, but the heavenly collaboration and celebration of music has no regrets for its overindulgence. Number 29, Pup, Free at Last. Pop punk was perhaps not at the forefront of development in the 2010s, but Pup still managed to work progressive personal messages into their music. The fiery chants and noisy drumming allow for the band's energy to radiate like it never really has before. Number 28, John Hopkins, Open Eye Signal. Bouncy, buoyant, bubbly. Open Eye Signal makes any dance floor feel as though it is made of wet rubber. This is progressive house perfected. Really, this is fantastic electronic music. Number 27, Daughters, The Reason They Hate Me. This grew on me more than I thought it ever possibly could. It's a black and white image of hell painted through this post-punk brutality as frontman Alexis Marshall screams into this void that his fellow bandmates construct for him. Number 26, Sophie, Face Shopping. Hard-hitting, pounding drums are Sophie Long's forte. Her disgusting and heavy growls shifting away from what is even considered normal for her. These metallic clangs and creaking lead synths and simmering bridges. There's so much going on in such a short amount of time. Number 25, we're getting into the big boys now. Igloo Ghost, Super Ink Burst. At a certain point in 2014, I was wondering where EDM-style trap music and dubstep, other hard-hitting forms of EDM could realistically go, and Igloo Ghost would probably be the answer to that. Refusing to confine himself to even the most basic rules of EDM, Super Ink Burst, along with the entirety of Neo Wax Bloom, almost never allows for any form of looping. If an idea is present, it comes in, and it stays for 8 bars, and it either disappears or it shifts. It's mind-boggling. Number 28, Tyler, the Creator. Boredom, blending indie hip-hop and contemporary R&B into one indistinguishable genre. Tyler creates an I can't fucking make that joke. An amalgamation of everything this decade has stood for musically, at least in terms of alternative music. His angst is heavily refined from his older work in this decade, presenting his newfound maturity with pride, and in turn, he's produced his best work. One might even say that he's blossomed, that he's grown into his potential. Ha! Number 23, Melt Banana, Candy Gun. For the longest time, I thought that nothing could ever match the energy of a Lightning Bolt song, yet here we are. Melt Banana's 2013 project blew me away, giving me exactly what I never knew I wanted. Ballistic drums, swallowing basses, and these flaming guitars that they just smash the entire EQ spectrum. Candy Gun has this slow rising opening, and it feels like I'm being lifted on a roller coaster just before I'm dropped at a 90-degree angle head first into this whirlwind of noise. It's fucking amazing punk music. Number 22, 2814, Distant Lovers, I believe is the correct translation. To say I have a soft spot for the 80s vision of the future is an understatement. There is something profoundly interesting to me about the world that was promised but never attained. And while artists such as Vangelis have been soundtracking this never attained future for decades, 2814 create what I find to be the most compelling ambient piece composed with this in mind. Number 21, Vince Staples, Yeah Right. The first time I heard this song, I remember this very vividly. I was in a basement with my friend, and I knew Sophie, Kendrick, and I had heard a Flume song with Kaka on it, but I didn't know Vince. So color me impressed when this is one of the wildest rap tracks I've ever heard. Everyone plays their part exactly as they should. Kendrick's verse, his flow is immaculate. My mind was really blown, and to this day, I'm not over how every individual element of the song fits together perfectly. Number 20, MGMT, Little Dark Age. There was a time not so long ago where I could go on a music forum in the corner of the internet, an unnamed one, and without fail, someone would have posted a yellow Pepe with the words "I grieve in stereo" stapled next to it. And I don't think that these threads added any form of discussion to MGMT or music in general for that matter. But what I do think they did was they spoke to how catchy this song was. There's simply no escaping the synth pop earworm that is Little Dark Age. Number 19, Pusha T, Numbers on the Boards. Push is recognized as many things: a dealer of cocaine, a man who says yuck. But I feel that when I think of Push, I mostly think of his disgusting beats. The nasty of the nasty come forth on this track. He's rapping with confidence over a beat that goes beep boop beep bop. Not an ounce of remorse is present. Push's suave gangster aesthetic is pure as they come. Number 18, Black Country New Roads, Sunglasses. The closest thing I got to a Slint revival in the 2010s, this group came out of absolutely nowhere in the final leg of the decade to bless my ears with this political poetry in the form of a post-punk shotgun blast. From exposition to ending, dissonance is weaponized and relationships are cauterized. The song is also the proprietor of some of the best lyrics. I'm not gonna say anything, just go listen to it for yourself and have the Genius page up while you're reading it. There's just something amazing about it. Number 17, Gang Gang Dance, Glass Jar. Fluttering synths and floating flutes take turns showing off their showing off their greatness in the first 5 minutes of this neo-psychedelic odyssey. The atmosphere is surreal and ethereal, giving the sense of being introduced to this brand new fantasy world. While I don't think that the rest of Eye Contact reaches this magical level, I wish it did, the 11 minutes of wonder that are put forth on Glass Jar are well worth anyone's time. Number 16, Fleet Foxes, The Shrine, An Argument. Tales of complex love affairs were abundant in the indie and R&B scenes this decade, yet the greatest was a product of folk. Robin Pecknold's grasp on cinematic storytelling is undeniable. Rising from this gentle finger-picking and hushed vocals to galloping drums and harmonious choruses, the song goes through 3 excellent movements before collapsing into this freak folk nightmare of harsh, clashing woodwinds. Number 15, Kanye West, Runaway. There exists a video on the internet of Kanye West during his Yeezus tour playing the first note of Runaway on his piano, and the crowd erupting into applause at the single note E. I can't think of a better way to exemplify how potent this song is, despite its lyrical lacking. The song somehow manages to evade overstaying its welcome as well, with the 3-minute outro posing as a funeral march of shame and guilt for Kanye's ego. Number 14, D'Angelo and the Vanguard, Really Love. Beautiful and sensual, D'Angelo's return after a 14-year hiatus was well worth the wait. Teaming up with Questlove of The Roots and Pino Palladino of The Who. Smooth and blissful Latin-influenced soul floats out of the speakers, putting any lover of music at rest. For those who were asking where the real music was this decade, I'd point them in this direction very quickly. Number 13, Kendrick Lamar, Mad City. Imagery is crucial to a compelling story, and Kendrick not only understands this in practice and principle, but in implementation. The vivid vignettes of life in the streets of Compton are stained with blood and alcohol. The lifestyle is portrayed as paralyzing to the youth, as opposed to this holy grail to look forward to. Most people prefer the first half of the instrumental, but I personally find the second half of the beat to be the real draw of the track, especially the final verse where Kendrick addresses the listener's views of him and his upbringing. Number 12, Car Seat Headrest, Bodies. I would be surprised if you could find a song more appropriate to pair with a scene from a teen drama involving jumping and dancing around a room alone. Will Toledo's incorrectly spelled indie anthem is loaded with angst to the point of exploding, which it does more than once. The essence of teen experience is crammed so tightly into just 6 minutes. Number 11, Frank Ocean, White Ferrari. Frank Ocean's Blonde soared to the status of undisputed classic faster than any other album this decade. Any number of tracks deserve a high spot on this list. I would assume most would pick Nights or Ivy, but White Ferrari best displays his masterful ability to cradle the listener in his arms. Flowering walls of vocals, the pedals float above these nightly guitars, taking the track through multiple seamless movements. In some inexplicable way, Frank communicates empathy on a level that transcends his lyrics and seeps into his instrumental. His voice and the music it leads are inseparable. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pull a Watch Mojo here and do some honorable mentions. Neil Cicerega, Bustin'. It would be an understatement to say that memes dominated the media in the decade. They went from these stupid image macros you could share on your college forum to inescapable in your Twitter feed, to the point where even boomers are using them now. And even me saying the word boomer is a goddamn meme now. And I don't think anyone put memes and music together better than Neil. He's proven himself to not only be a pioneer of memes through his songs like The Ultimate Showdown and with videos such as Harry Potter Puppet Pals, but he's also proven that he is a master of mashups with his Mouth series. Bustin' stands out because it has legitimately replaced the Ghostbusters theme in my head. When I think of the Ghostbusters theme now, I don't think Who You Gonna Call, I think Bustin' makes me feel good. The amount of talent that it takes to make a mashup that good that it has substituted itself in place of a classic, I think that shows massive talent. Logic, Bounce. I feel bizarre mentioning this because in retrospect I see Logic as a very poor rapper, an imitator more than a rapper, but I would be lying if I said anything other than Bounce is the song that really got me into hip-hop. It also pushed me to listen to Logic's full album Under Pressure, which is a Good Kid Mad City ripoff, by the way, but it still pushed me to listen to a full album, something I had never ever done before, and I haven't really turned back to listening to playlists or singles since. Also want to mention Sun Kil Moon with Pray for Newtown. While a lot of the stories on Benji are personal, such as Carissa, which I equally enjoy, I think that Pray for Newtown has such a melancholy to it that none of the other ones really do, and I appreciate it a lot for that. And the last one real quick is going to be Boards of Canada with Reach for the Dead. I don't think that this album touched nearly the nostalgia of albums such as Music Has the Right to Children, but this track is disturbing to me. It's apocalyptic and dreary, like not much else in Boards of Canada's repertoire. Alright, we're getting into the top 10 now, so things are getting real. All of these are modern classics. Number 10, Carly Rae Jepsen, Run Away With Me. The glistening saxophone solo that opens Carly Rae Jepsen's pop masterpiece is unforgettable and instantly captivating. Wide synths give an intimate backing to intimate lyrics. Where she proves herself to be in a league beyond her contemporaries is entirely in her performance. Carly is not making pop music because she has to in order to survive economically. She's making it out of passion for the genre. This is massively evident in her 2015 album Emotion, and especially on this single. Her girlish teenage dreaming is purified in joyful bliss. She manages to find power and simplicity like no other pop artist has this decade. Number 9, Death Grips, Hacker. Disjointed, artful, but most of all catchy, Hacker is the pinnacle of everything the Death Grips has stood for this decade. Overflowing with creative samples from all parts of the musical world, the boys brand themselves as the new face of industrial hip-hop, creating an apocalyptic meteor shower of a beatdown. Seemingly disconnected lyrics fly like bullets from the mouth of MC Ride. His cries of aggression and inescapable hook of "I'm in your area" shatters the mold of what can be considered a dance song. It may not be the easiest song to get into, but nothing innovative ever was. Number 8, Idles, Mother. Many songs that fill the listener with the intent to destroy came out this decade, but few carried the political rage that Idles did with their cries for justice. Mother is the battle anthem of sons fed up with the poor treatment and struggle that their matriarchs had to endure. Progressive themes are what punk rock was built on, and Idles have pushed forward these loaded, straightforward lyrical approaches that were present on, say, Dead Kennedys albums 30-odd years ago. The roster of social issues has not only been changed, but it's been expanded. Mother's rocket thruster guitar tones and machine gun drumming unleashes pure ferocity in its potent yet comedic refrain of simply, "Mother fucker." A monument to punk and its evolution. Number 7, Sufjan Stevens, 4th of July. When touching on personal and sensitive themes, it can be easy to forget to remain grounded in reality and form a link with the listener. The ability to form this link with the audience slips away unless great care is taken. Enter Sufjan Stevens' 4th of July. Angelic, droning guitars make for a slow-motion backdrop to a post-mortem conversation between Sufjan and his mother. Laying on her deathbed, she comforts him still, as he knows that she wouldn't want him to be sad. Using delicate lyricism and channeling his inner Elliott Smith, the introspection put forth on this song is soul-crushing. Managing to encapsulate the theme of the album in a soft, warm bundle, this track feels more like a hug from your mother than anything else. Number 6, Danny Brown, Ain't It Funny. If 4th of July is a hug, Ain't It Funny is a steel bat to the skull. Much of Atrocity Exhibition is disorienting, disturbing, and frightening. With warped tales of drug abuse and filthy low-life trudging, Danny Brown puts himself on display for all to see on this track. The banshee screech of the discordant horn section is maddening, with pounding, bouncing kick drums slamming against the mix. The jumping trumpets on the verses follow little to no structure. They just blare in and out of existence. Danny is a mad priest, using his trademark voice to deliver bar after bar, verse after verse of drug prophecy. Weaponizing neglect as a central theme, the track carries the weight of 1,000 dead addicts' souls. A horrifying portrait of self-destruction. Number 5, Clipping, Story 2. Story 2 is the kind of song that exists just to make me angry as a music creator. This is perfection in every sense, musically. The idea is creative, it's executed with mastery, and it's memorable. To have the audacity to propose this level of composition in a hip-hop track and then perform it so casually is beyond me. Daveed Diggs proves himself a world-class rapper, his voice dancing over the tectonic shifts in rhythm beneath him. I can't talk about this song without explaining what the gimmick is for those who don't know. Every few bars, the time signature, the numerator, rises, as if to mimic the story that's happening, which tells the tale of a former mob arson on his way home from work as a tragedy unfolds. The time signatures mimicking his rising heart rate. The overwhelming crescendo of synths that suddenly drop out of existence at the end of the track, leaving me to ponder what I just witnessed. Amazing. Hip-hop didn't reach much higher experimental heights this decade. Number 4, Grouper, Headache. If you were to analyze the theory of Liz Harris's 2016 release, you would find it strikingly simple. Given its incredible emotional resonance, it's evident that simplicity is her main weapon. Her guitar bears a chilling tone, drowned in so much reverb that it sounds as though I'm submerged in warm water. This is especially true in the final seconds as the waves of reverb kind of wash over her voice, the picking of the guitar drifting further and further away as it does so. With lyrics painting the act of walking into the ocean as feeling lost in life, I wouldn't be surprised if this is what Liz was going for. Regardless of intention, the result is a sadness that is warm and gentle, comforting even. I put this here for personal attachment reasons, and recognize that it probably deserves to be lower objectively when considering how significant the last few tracks have been, but it's my list, so I decide what's important. Grouper Headache? Amazing. Number 3, Kendrick Lamar, Blacker the Berry. Despite knowing exactly how the song climaxes at this point, chills still find their way down my spine every time I hear it. And the word hypocrite is said with such disgust. Kendrick has found a way to attack self-hatred on a countrywide scale, assaulting those who would divide their own race out of hatred instilled by those who would oppress them. Fueled by rage and backed by crisp boom-bap drums, Assassin's hook is astounding in both meaning and delivery. The rising synth strings only fan the flames as Kendrick's verses brag about just about every positive stereotype he can come up with, giving the illusion of black pride before snapping his crosshairs to those following his message in the last section with a mere 2 bars. They're shocking. It all rides out on this meditative jazz instrumental as if to instruct the listener to reflect on what they just heard, and Kendrick takes a bow as his opus fades out. Number 2, Deafheaven, Dreamhouse. I spent a few years trying to find anything that could match the soaring emotional intensity of Deafheaven's magnum opus. While not the first to attempt this cosmic fusion of shoegaze and black metal, they seem to have perfected it. As in the nearly 7 years since the release of Dreamhouse, nothing in the realm of blackgaze has topped it. Whenever I attempt to put the production on display in this song into words, I feel that I am at a complete loss. The title Sunbather feels truly appropriate, as within the first 30 seconds of the record, Dreamhouse is wrapping its fiery arms around the listener, searing the ears and heart alike. These unrelenting, thumping percussions in the form of seemingly endless blast beats accompanies the flaming tidal wave of guitars, consuming the whole track in just... George Clark's wretched vocals are swallowed, smothered by the reverb, playing into the angst present in his lyrics. The second half of the track seeks less to set the listener ablaze and more to create a metal serenade, if that's possible, with the explosive mantra of "I'm dying, is it blissful? It's like a dream, I want to dream." What Deafheaven managed to do in just under 10 minutes, most bands fail to do with entire albums. Number 1. I feel like a lot of people will be like, yeah, it's a good song, but I don't think it's that good. I can't think of a better song to put at my number 1. Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar, No More Parties in LA. The concept of this song's existence would earn my top spot without the performance even existing. Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar on a Madlib beat. This is a hip-hop head's wet dream. The instrumental is addictive and beyond description, the Junie Morrison sample allowing its funk rhythms to flow through the veins of both rappers, who deliver the most memorable verses in either of their repertoires. Detailing the poisonous lifestyle of the music star in LA, Kendrick and Kanye are ferocious in both ink and breath. Kendrick's lyricism is sharp as ever, swinging low at all parts of the high life. But he focuses mostly on this one female character who attempts to exploit him for his finances while simultaneously taking shots at him, and this kind of calls back to Kendrick's portrayal of America as a sassy gold digger on the track For Free. On the second half of the track, Kanye takes back the mic, and I mean that in the sense that he has not rapped this way since college dropout era. Blending the personal with the topical, West graces the ears with wit and humor just unheard of since the early 2000s. The image I get while listening to this is that of Kanye driving through the hills, ranting on the phone to an unknown recipient. The most impressive feat the song pulls off is its rendering me incapable of skipping even a single bar. If No More Parties in LA comes on, No More Parties in LA stays on. I understand this is a very personal argument for the greatness of the track, but I'll be damned if I enjoyed anything more than this over the duration of this decade. And that is my list. Those are my favorite 100 songs from the past 10 years. I hope, if nothing else, you can find maybe one song that you enjoy at least a little bit from this list, because I know that I'm going to carry these with me into the far future, and they mean a lot to me. So please, if you have some comments, leave them down in the comments. Tell me what you think. What's your favorite song? What did I not put on the list that you would have put on your list? I want to know. And now I'm at the part of the video where I realize that I don't have a formula for making videos, and as such, I don't have an outro. So I think I'm just gonna look back at this green screen and think of something to put there. Isn't that wild? It's done. I'm ordering a fucking Donair pizza.